SFA Volley Blog, late night at the Hampton Inn before the Hampton Inn Invitational here at SFA. And we've got 3 clubs in, and we're going to talk to head coach Sasha Karelov from McNeese. She's got a little background in the Southland, and we're trying to be true to our Southland roots. Our interview series rolls on. And first of all, Coach, I know you've had a long day. They've had some bus adventures that they've had to overcome, some trips to Lufkin and stuff just to get transport. Just thanks for being willing to do this late at night.
Of course. I'm happy to be here.
All right. So first of all, you were a very decorated player yourself. Duke, 4 years there. We've got 2 gals for SFA that some of our fans know that are about to eclipse 1,000 digs. Sasha had 2,000 plus digs at Duke and then transferred to Long Beach. And so you've got a decorated career. When in all of that, through your playing career, did you go, man, I think I might want to make a career of this. I think I might want to be a coach.
That's a great question. So actually, when I was 14, which is really funny, really early, because my mom played for the Belarusian national team. And so volleyball was like in my genes, and she coached at the club that I played for. So I was always in the gym. I was a little gym rat, and I was her assistant coach at 14 years old. So yeah, I was, the kids weren't much younger than me, but I was like their mentor. And that's kind of how I got my foot in the door as far as coaching. And my mom's always been my inspiration. So I remember my junior year of high school, I wrote a letter to myself, in 5 years, this is where I want to be. In 10 years, this is where I want to be. And I straight up said, I want to be a Division I volleyball coach in 10 years or whatever. And now here I am. So
that is an incredible story. Wow. So, I've heard of that trick before, writing letters to yourself, but that literally worked in your case.
Yeah, I still have it. I think my mom sent me a picture of it a few weeks ago and was like, remember this? Going through old stuff. So it's just funny. And I mean, through my career at Duke, I did have waves of maybe I don't want to coach. I kind of went back and forth because when you've done volleyball your whole life, sometimes you're like, maybe I'd be good at something else, right? But then it always went back to coaching. Once I went to Long Beach and I got my master's in sport management, I was like, now I'm all in. That's what I want to do. So.
Okay, so from there, you did have some other coaching experiences, and then you did wind your way. We were talking before we got started in here. You did wind your way then to Corpus Christi as an assistant, and that's where I first intersected with you, first became aware of you under Steve Green, the years that you were there down on the island. We've had plenty of battles SFA has with Corpus Christi through the years, right? So where in that process, when you were working on the island and all that, where during that timeline did you say to yourself, I think I'm ready to make the jump? I think if something comes along, I'm ready to start applying for head jobs. Well, when did that click?
Definitely last year. I learned so much under Steve and working with the Islanders. Great program. They've had so much success, and I was kind of ready to learn more about myself as a coach and just as a mentor for the athletes. And honestly, to be honest, I wasn't sure if I'd be a head coach this fast, but this job opened up, and the fact that it was in the Southland and I had so much experience with the Southland and success in the Southland, and Lake Charles is a really cool area. I had to apply for it, and I just, went for it, and enjoyed everybody I came in contact with on my interview and my visit, and it just clicked. So kind of was perfect timing, the stars aligned, if you will. So
let me ask you random, do you know Elisa Blair, who's the head coach at ACU?
Yes, I know her really well. She's one of my good friends.
Okay, I thought so. She's a good buddy of mine too. And her story is kind of similar. She was here last year. Jax fans know that now she's also a head coach in our conference. And of course, ACU was back in the Southland with us, and we left. So it's kind of a parallel between those things. Let's talk about your club now. You inherited a pretty good club. Last year, McNeese 9-3 in the Southland. They finished 3rd in the regular season. But you did what I've seen a lot of people do, and that is, in this COVID age, really make use of the transfer portal. So you brought in a lot of gals on transfer, plus you've kind of used a nucleus that was already there. Describe for me kind of your roster construction strategy after you got the job.
Yeah, I think when you get a job in January and you only have 5 months to put a team together, and with some of the losses we had, I think the go-to was the portal, and there was just so many kids available. So we worked day and night, like reaching out to kids and just finding the right fit positionally and character wise. Because I knew with it being my first season, I wanted to make sure I was finding the right kids, like bringing in good kids. But also volleyball is important too, so right away we knew we needed a setter, and we ended up having 4 on our roster, which is funny. Like, who would have thought, right? But 2 of them can play like different positions, which is great. And I always like those type of kids, the utility players that can kind of do everything. And I think in the Southland, you find a lot of kids like that can kind of play middle, outside, whatever. So that was our priority, is finding, the setter situation, getting that locked down, and, adding some middle blockers in there, and really just making sure I had experience. I wanted my first year to have like kids that knew what they were doing, because I'm still figuring it out, and with my assistant, Joe Morales, perfect combination. We're kind of the 1-2 punch, because he does a lot of the offense and I do a lot of the defense. So going into our recruiting strategy, it was like perfect. We would talk to these kids about those things and our strengths and whatnot. So I think it worked out really well. We have 8 seniors, which is crazy too. But like, again, I think with their wisdom and their experience, they're kind of building the brand of McNeese volleyball for me, starting this program in this first year. So
that's interesting. And I mean, it's tough these days, when you look at rosters, when you see sophomore, junior, to know really where that particular player is in the program. I mean, they may be academically a junior, but have 3 or 4 years of eligibility due to COVID. And one thing you said in there that really struck with me was the idea of a couple of your setters being able to be versatile. Lady Jack fans will remember, when Sasha was talking, that just reminded me of Ann Hollis, one of the better setters that's come through SFA, when SFA would run that sort of crazy modified 6-2 where Hollis would slide to the right. So I want to talk about the facility, because the Health and Human Performance Center, where you guys are, this thing opened. If you've never traveled to McNeese to see a volleyball game, you ought to go, because here's the thing: the Health and Human Performance Center is really, really a nice place. I got a chance in 2018, right as it was about to open, to tour it. But then before you got there, and since I've seen it, it got struck by hurricanes, and it was a lot of damage to it. Sort of talk that through. I'm sure you've heard that story and all that, but now you're kind of back to full go there in H&HP, right?
Yep, and it's called the Legacy Center now. Okay, that's the official name. So, but in 2019, when I was an assistant at Corpus, we played them there, and I remember walking in and being like, wow, like this is incredible for a volleyball gym, like their own space, brand new, everything. And then, yes, they've gone through everything in the last 2 years to try to get it back to where it is, and we're so grateful to be back there. And it's an amazing recruiting tool, like bringing recruits this spring, like they walk in and their jaw drops, because it's beautiful, it's new. We got an incredible locker room with a film room in there, and just having our own space and owning it, and not having to share necessarily with other sports has been amazing too, scheduling wise. So we're really grateful, and I know hearing from the girls too, it's been night and day. The last 2 years has been really hard for them, and our 9 returners are just ecstatic to get back in and play our first official home match there.
One of the things that I love about it, beautiful basketball arena in there too. Of course, basketball fans will know the names Joe Dumars. As you walk in, there's a mural to Joe Dumars as you walk in. I guess that's still there. And then the volleyball complex is off to the side, but the great thing is it has that kind of intimate feel to it, and there's a heavy curtain that separates a practice court that kind of seals you in, and it kind of gets that real intimate feel. I think that at mid-major schools really plays well to crowds and things. Let's talk about 2 of your athletes, and I want to kind of get at how you dealt with this situation. Macy Kerpeck and Kendall Glick. Those are 2 names that maybe fans back when SFA was in the South and will remember. With you coming in, they've now experienced 3 head coaches. They've been there long enough to have to. How did you address that? Because, I mean, you've got these other girls coming in, and you got those 2 that are key for you, and they're staying, and they're seeing this turnover. So what was your message to those 2?
That's a great question, because I think about that a lot too. It's crazy that they've had 3 head coaches, but I just want to play into their strengths. Like, I'm not going to reinvent the wheel with them. I mean, they're both seniors. They've been all conference players. I've scouted against them for the last couple of years. Like, I know what they're capable of, and we don't need to change a lot with them, you know, offensively for sure, and blocking wise. But my thing was like, hey, I'm going to maybe teach you a little bit more about the back row, you know, and give them confidence when they're playing defense in practice or even in a game, right? And that's kind of my strength as a former libero. So I think just telling them and reassuring them that, like, I'm in their corner, and I know that they've been coached by a lot of people, and not to feel like they have to change everything, because what they're doing is great, but just, hey, here's another perspective of, like, you could be an all the way around type of player. Just let me teach you that part of the game, you know? And then that makes their offense better because they're more confident in the back row too. So I think it's been fun, and they're two of the easiest people to coach because they are very open-minded. You know, anything I've said, they're ready to make that change. They're used to that, you know, so.
I think those are two that deserve a whole lot of credit for their patience and just for their attitude. I mean, they just sort of embody, I think, the university spirit by staying and sticking through the changes, the hurricanes, the relocations. I think that's very admirable. And I asked when Northwestern State was in here a few weeks ago, folks that watch these videos know we did this with Sean Kirikoff, and I asked him the same question, and I want to take your view on it because, again, you're coming in as a first-year head coach. All of the dominoes in conference realignment. I mean, you watched it. I mean, you watched when we were Corpus, and then you had Lamar, and you had us, and you had Sam Houston, and you had ACU leave. Okay, and now you know the story. Sam Houston's left the WAC. Lamar's come back. You know, as you kind of look at McNeese volleyball and the schools around you, what's your take on all that conference realignment? Is that good? Is that bad? Or do you just kind of put blinders on and say that's just not for me to worry with?
I put blinders on it. That's not something I worry about. That's like big picture stuff, like above my head. You know, I'm pretty focused on my team and like what I can do for them. And, you know, whatever happens, and that's out of my control. I love the Southland Conference though. Like, I mean, there's a reason why I'm still here. I think it's fun to be able to play teams that are pretty close, like proximity, you know, like travel wise, it's very convenient. And then the teams are competitive, but like I feel like any team can win at any given year, you know. And there have been some teams that have had more success as of late, but I think it's really anyone's year, which is fun. And a lot of the coaches are super supportive too. Like as soon as I got this job, like I felt like I already was in their circle and they were connecting with me and trying to kind of make me feel comfortable. So I don't know. It's been a pretty seamless transition.
I think what's great about it is the Southlands survived and is now trying to thrive again. And schools like yourself, Southeastern Louisiana, picked up there near the top. I mean, we talked to Sean about Corpus and HBU picked 1-2, but then right behind them, you've got Southeastern Louisiana and McNeese. Last, Coach, and I'll just kind of a two-parter to finish this, but what would you honestly say has been the most difficult part of doing this? Of the first year experience? I mean, again, your season's just getting started, but that progression from January until now, what's the thing that you say to yourself, man, that was a bigger challenge than I thought?
In head coaching in general?
Yes.
Yeah, I would say just being the person that everybody looks to for the answers. And like before, you know, I had my role and like people would come to me for certain things, but now it's like I'm the one that makes all the decisions. So win or lose or good or bad, it's always going to be on me. And I like that. I like the challenge, and I always have. And I've loved that part of sports, but it's also a little scary sometimes, you know, and the fact that you can't make everyone happy. You know, I'm definitely a people pleaser, and I want good relationships with everybody. And I care about everyone that, you know, is under me and in my program. So just knowing that I can't make everyone happy is kind of hard sometimes, but I just have to keep doing what I'm doing and stay true to myself, and it'll all work out. So. And
last part, what's been the most enjoyable? What's been the thing that you thought, wow, this is actually cooler than what I thought? What's the thing you enjoy the most about these months prepping for the season?
I think recruiting's been really fun just because now it's like I know the type of kids I want, you know, in this program for the future, and looking forward like every year, and like the positional needs and stuff, and being really strategic with like the kids that I'm trying to recruit. I think that's really fun. I've always liked recruiting as an assistant, and now that I'm the head coach, it's fun to think about like the perfect player, like the mold that I'm trying to build, and really put that, or make that happen, if you will. So I think that's been my favorite part. And then obviously with the team, just building relationships with new people. I think it's been fun having different personalities and finding the communication style that they do well with. I think that's been fun.
Sasha Karelov, head coach, McNeese State Cowgirls, in here. Nacogdoches had some little bus issues, but they overcame it. They'll be in the gym tomorrow, 11 o'clock, against Stephen F. Austin. 3 matches. Tulsa also here, and a very, very tough South Alabama club is in town too. Sasha, thank you so much for being willing to have this chat. I learned a lot, and I appreciate your time, and good luck to your girls this year.
Thank you so much, and thanks for including me on your blog. Appreciate it.